Hello, my amazing creative friends, Oksana here again, and today I'm super excited because I'm going to share my system that I developed over the years, and which is the secret of how I made close to 6,000 repeat pattern designs in Adobe Illustrator in a matter of a few years. And that's really helped me out a lot and grew my online galleries super fast. And another thing what it helped me to do is to learn how to make repeat patterns, to practice and already create vector repeat pattern designs in a fast manner, and don't really not to get stuck on one particular pattern for weeks and weeks, which, believe me, happened to me in the beginning too. But I am going to share today this will be part 4 of a video series that I've been creating, and it's available on YouTube. And this one is called How to Create 15 Plus Patterns, which is actually many more from one existing pattern in Adobe Illustrator. So in part 1, we created the elements. This is actually the pattern. This is it. We created these rose elements, and in part 2 we created the leaves, and we created this first composition. And you would think that this is it, Oksana is done with this particular pattern, but oh no, I I will take it and I will make so much fun things with it, and I will show you how you can make that too with your repeat patterns. Okay, so we have a pattern. In the tools that I used to create my patterns are, of course, Adobe Illustrator CC 2015, my iMac, my Wacom Intuos 4-pad tablet, and my Logitech, wireless mouse. All right, let's get started. So here is our first pattern that I created in Adobe Illustrator. And the next day, after I was done with my live stream, I was sat down to create my collection. And collection is actually not what is normally meant by traditional licensing in textile design. So I just wanted to make clear that by collection, in this case, I mean patterns that were created in Adobe Illustrator based on first pattern. So for example, this pattern in this particular case, it would be called color version, but or colorway. And this is basically more similar to colorways in traditional textile design licensing. But in this case, I am talking not about the traditional model, but more of a modern model, which pertains to microstock pattern sales and print-on-demand shops like Spoonflower, for example. So this model really worked well for me, and I wanted to share with you guys how I create these types of collections. Okay, so in the first video I created actually these two. So this is the first pattern, and I changed a little bit the color of the roses and the background to black. And this has been a trend recently, so I was excited to try this out, and I really enjoyed creating these particular patterns. Okay, what I normally do next, I am creating a black and white. I love black and whites. I use them in my clothing. I use them in the things that I buy. I use them for design of for my clients. I really use them a lot, and I think they are very versatile. So I always love to create black and whites for my customers. And of course, it's always fun to create this vintage inspired design when you leave the elements black and white. And in this case, I changed it to a gray, dark gray, and changed the leaves to blue. The background to blue is kind of like this pastel blue. And we have this vintage design, which I really like. It's kind of very peaceful to my eyes. I enjoy it. And of course, next what I did, oh, and let me mention that I flipped vertically the composition. So that change creates a little bit different. This flipping of vertically and horizontally, it lets your eye train a little bit more how the composition actually looks. And it's really helpful. I really like the flipping of elements so that I can see what's going on with the composition. and also with the elements actually. Okay, let me check if I have anyone who wants to say hi. Let me see. Okay, so if anyone wants to say hi in the chat, let me be first and say hi. And please, if you have any comments or just want to say hi, and or maybe you have any questions for me during this live stream, please let me know, and I will try to do my best to answer them. Okay, but back to the collection. Okay, so what I did next, I changed this black elements, left the to pink, left the white, and changed the background to navy and turned a little bit the composition. So that creates this vintage effect. So that's basically I played with the black and white like that. Okay, the next thing that is very useful to have is the texture. And the textures I can make, see the application for this gray texture, this one, and the black and the colored ones are totally different. You would apply them in different places. So for print on demand and microstock applications, you can really use this, basically this method, which creates textures. Okay, so how do you create textures? You make this particular black and white pattern smaller. Basically, this pattern is 600 by 600, and here is also 600. But basically, the pattern is 4 squares. So these squares are basically here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you put them together, and you changed the black to something very light. It can be gray. I like gray, but for example, here I also made an example with pink. So we have these textures. Okay, next I decided to play with the elements themselves, and I changed the style of the element. So this is the original roses element from this pattern, and what I did, I used the magic wand on all the whole pattern and deleted these elements, and then I used the magic wand to recolor all the colors to the shades of red. And you have to be careful by double clicking on magic wand. You need to adjust the tolerance to 0. So now it's 20. It's for on my machine for always tolerance is to 20, and you can play with the options over here, but in my opinion, tolerance 0 works much better for most applications, at least in my case, in my workflow. Okay, so next what you do is you change the colors and you add the highlights. So I added highlights, you can see, and the style is totally different. So undo, you can see, totally different style. And what I did with this style, I created the next bunch of patterns with these red roses without stripes. And I changed the leaves. I almost kept them the same, but I changed the color. Okay, I made this navy background, red roses and blue leaves background. And then, of course, I did the white version and the black version. What I also, you might notice that I increased the negative space in between of the elements right here. So there's less negative space, there's more negative space, and I spread out the elements and made them smaller, even though the size of the repeat is 600 by 600 as before. Okay, color versions. And next, what I did, I used the same elements, but I created super fast in Adobe Illustrator. I created these grunge stripes, which has been a trend recently and very popular. I created these grunge stripes to try out this new trend, and I placed the elements on top. And then I recolored the elements to green leaves, and I made the elements smaller. So you can create interesting textures and interesting effects by making the elements smaller. So that really worked well for me. And okay, and I made the stripes thinner by basically fitting in 600 pixels, fitting in 4 by 300 by 300 together. So this is how you make a repeat smaller. and placed the original pattern, like not original, but earlier version of the roses pattern on top and colored them pink. So you can see the idea here. You just go on and try different ways and see if there are interesting trends you want to try. And I also made one with polka dots here, also like a grunge looking polka dots. Okay, let me show you next what I did. I changed the style again. I made it even simpler and I colored the outline yellow. Actually, in the beginning, it was just even simpler with white. So this is the effect we have here. I call it a silhouette effect. I normally go even further with the leaves, but this time I decided to keep the leaves a little bit more detailed in this case. So I kept the roses more in a silhouette format style, and this worked pretty well. And then I changed the line art on the roses to gold, yellow, and I received this particular style. So basically first this one, and then okay, I'll show you next what I did. This method is also interesting. Okay, so this is the pattern that I created, and I will show you how. Okay, I colored the blue and white. I colored it in pink and yellow and white, and we have a layer like this. So this will be, it's already an interesting pattern in itself, but I will show you what I did next. So I select everything there is, Command C, copy, Command B, paste behind. So now we have identical layers. Then I twist it like this. Okay, now you need to select the background layer. Okay, let me undo it for a second. Maybe twist it this way. Okay, so with this background layer selected, you go to opacity on top here, and you hit 40, for example. You can adjust it. Click, there you go. Totally different style. So this trick always produces very interesting results. And you can also actually put these elements on top of the original elements, and that will make very interesting texture too. So the possibilities are endless. So this is how I created this particular style. Okay, let me check. Okay, I have 2 viewers. Hi, viewers. Nice to see you guys. And please leave your comments if you have any. I really appreciate you being here. Okay, back to work. Next, you can see here that I included my vertical and horizontal border. The funny thing is that for all these patterns, almost for all of them, you can create vertical and horizontal borders. I haven't gone as far as to make them yet, at least, but this is to show you that in part 3 of this video training, I showed you how to, my own special way, how to make these borders using symbols in Adobe Illustrator. So very simple, very fast, and effective. And these are useful for definitely for their own applications. So we have 2 borders here. Okay, next style is also an interesting style that you can play with. This one is a gold foil style that I put together for with using my patterns. I created this texture by hand, a gold foil texture, and then I overlay on top already repeated pattern, but I use this tool. I will show you. Pathfinder, divide, to divide and all the elements that I want to keep and keep it in white. So it's basically a big white shape with holes cut out in it. So it does create a not as editable design, but for example, for many applications, it still works very well. So that should be okay for most applications. Okay, so and you can do black and gold, you can do pink and gold, all kinds of colors. And instead of gold, you can do watercolor texture, you can do textile texture, you can do so many things. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so this is an example of how that worked out. We have this style. This one I showed you already, and the last one, at least for this particular training, is the one with hearts. So I just wanted to show you very quickly that you can create a bold pattern, bold silhouettes. It can be circles, hearts, triangles. Triangles are very popular too, and I used hearts in this particular case. And you can also create the same method with Pathfinder divide tool. I will probably make a lesson just about that later. And actually, let me know if you want to learn about that, and leave a comment now or after the live stream is done. Leave a comment if you would like to know how to create these particular types using the Pathfinder tool. All right. So I cut out this heart pattern. It's based on my old existing pattern, and I used a color version of this pink and yellow pattern. You can see pink and white, but by placing it under the hearts. So then you create this kind of interesting modern textured hearts effect with flowers. So that's what I did. You must know that sometimes these kind of styles and this one can be, and actually this one can be pretty file heavy. So the files can be very heavy, and it's important to remember for microstock, especially because there is for most websites there is a limit of 15 megabytes per EPS file. So yeah, some pattern styles and methods of creating them work better and I shouldn't say better. I mean, some styles produce ginormous EPS files, some produce medium EPS files, and some produce small EPS files. So you just have to play with your styles and see what works for you. All right, let me see. Okay, so this is everything I wanted to show you, what I did that day, next day after I was done with my part 3 of my tutorial. And what I wanted to show you next is that while I was putting together all these notes for this video, I realized that it would be much more useful for you to have an illustrated checklist to show you how, like one by one, all of these ideas and a few more, to show you how I would make versions of vector repeating patterns. So I put together an ebook for you guys. It's a free ebook. It's an illustrated version, and there is also a short version with no illustrations on the page 7. And you can make so many repeat patterns with that. And you can ask me why to make them. First, practice. If you are excited about repeat patterns, you like to make them, you're already a pro and you make many of them, but the pros know that you need to practice to perfect your craft. And sometimes when I make these patterns and I'm excited about the first one and I can say, oh, okay, I'm done. But when I push myself and go through this checklist, I actually didn't have it. I just had it in my head, and now I have it on paper, which is probably will be very useful to me too. But I just go through the checklist and I create these versions, then inevitably some of the versions become even more favorite and they become even more popular, much better sellers on my websites. So I created this checklist to say thank you guys for really supporting me and supporting this channel and this website. And I really appreciate all your good comments and feedback on my videos. And I'm really hoping that this will help you grow your pattern galleries online and sell more of them and reach a wider audience. And you know, I really feel that one person is looking for a very subtle vintage-inspired design with roses, and another is looking for more vibrant and modern style. And yeah, if you want to practice and find your style, I feel like it's important to practice and just try different one for size and to see what really works for you, what doesn't. Change the compositions, change the colors, play with them, and so the ones which you like, you can upload to your galleries, to microstock, to Spoonflower, to your website, to Crazy Market, and try and see if they sell or what's going on and which become more popular. So there's the checklist, And how can you get the checklist is that there is a link in the description box under this video, or if you're watching on the website, there is a link in the blog post to put in your email, and I will email you this illustrated checklist ebook. It's totally free, and I'm really hoping it will help you guys. All right, so there I have an assignment for you today as before. If you download first is to download my illustrated checklist gift for you guys, and 2 is to create at least 5 new patterns from one of your existing patterns. Just select one pattern and create 5. I have to tell you at this point that please don't take other people's patterns. Just please create your own and then try to make these versions from your own pattern, because I know that it might be tempting, but it will not get very far by copying and creating other people's patterns. You can maybe do it just for yourself for practice, but don't put them on the website for sale, because there is a big copyright issue. So please create them from your own patterns, and in the long run you will win, because you will know how to make them and you will be that much better off. And 3, post your creations on Instagram with the hashtag #GrowLoveCreate, so that we can all give feedback to each other and help each other out and support each other in our creative journey making vector repeat patterns. Okay, so I also wanted to let you know that I am starting a new exciting newsletter in which I'm going to put together all the links, information, videos, and tips and advice, and a few things that I only share in my newsletter about creative business, running a creative business, especially textile design business, but also other aspects, all aspects of creative business and creative lifestyle too. So if you're interested, please subscribe. For my newsletter is the same link as the one to download the ebook, and you will receive a series of emails about the ebook, and you will be able to get it super fast if you subscribe. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate all your feedback and positive energy that is coming from your comments. I'm super helpful that I've been able to help you guys out. And if you find my ebook useful, or if you have even more ideas of what to do to create exciting new patterns and styles based on your existing patterns, I would love to hear them in the comments below in this video or on my blog post, and let's help each other out and create even bigger, even fuller checklist of ideas of how to multiply your vector repeat patterns and grow your creative business faster. Thank you once again for watching. Please check out the link in the description box, and I wish you a wonderful creative day. Grow, love, and create. Bye!